Hello there, I'm Eva Pilgrim. Thanks for streaming with us. Week 3 of testimony in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, starting with the music mogul's former assistant, Capricorn Clark, taking the stand.
Why would we need a 50-foot bed?
I mean, TD Jakes ain't small. I'm just saying. If it's a group thing, it's a group thing. You gotta think about, you got Rick Ross, you got Khaled, we talk about heavy hit.
Week 3 of the explosive legal saga surrounding music mogul Sean Diddy, Combs delivered a bombshell that stunned the courtroom and sent shockwaves to the entertainment world. This wasn't just another day of witness testimony. It was a turning point. Former assistant Capricorn Clark took the stand and offered an account that felt more like a thriller than a legal proceeding. Her testimony didn't focus on typical workplace drama or celebrity eccentricities. Instead, it revealed a hidden world where luxury masked something far more unsettling. Clark began with what sounded like an absurd detail, a 50-foot bed. But this wasn't about extravagance. According to her, it played a central role in exclusive late-night gatherings. These weren't casual parties. Clark claimed that figures like Rick Ross and DJ Khaled were among the high-profile guests, and the scale of the setup hinted at something more secretive, perhaps even disturbing. She stopped short of naming specific acts, but the implications were clear and deeply troubling. What emerged from her testimony was a picture of a glamorous but highly controlled environment, where intimidation and power dictated the rules. Clark's revelations shifted the case from a personal legal battle to a potentially wide-reaching expose of the dark undercurrents lurking beneath celebrity culture's polished exterior.
I think Dawn said is after she saw Diddy beat Cassie the next day,
he came in the room
and threatened her.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Dawn is testifying that exactly what she talked about in her civil suit, in addition to some other things that they were in a house in LA in 2009. Diddy beat Cassie because Cassie wasn't finished allegedly making his food on time, and the next day he came in the room to talk to her and her band member, and he basically told them, alleges that he told them, don't say anything, what y'all saw up there was passion, and when people say stuff about things like this about me, they end up...
What began with one woman, Cassie Ventura, bravely stepping forward to speak about her experience of emotional control and psychological manipulation by a powerful figure, has now escalated into a courtroom drama with potentially seismic consequences for the entertainment industry. Cassie's initial claims were already bold, but what's unfolded since has pushed this trial far beyond the realm of typical celebrity scandal. Unlike past controversies, this case has introduced a new, chilling element: courtroom audio evidence. And these aren't brief or vague snippets. According to reports, the private recordings include none other than Sean Diddy Combs himself, alongside shocking names like Will Smith and Meek Mill. The mere mention of such high-profile individuals would be enough to raise eyebrows, but what truly stunned those in the courtroom was the content of the tapes. Sources say the audio left attendees in stunned silence. No phones, no whispers, just disbelief. Something serious, possibly damning, was captured on those recordings. And if insiders are to be believed, the public has only seen the tip of the iceberg. Capricorn Clark, Diddy's former assistant, deepened the gravity of the proceedings when she resumed her testimony. She recounted multiple disturbing incidents that took the courtroom into far darker and more emotionally charged territory. According to Clark, she was twice forced into vehicles without consent. One incident in particular stood out. She was allegedly taken to rapper Kid Cudi's home. Not for business, but during a time of deep personal conflict. Cassie had reportedly been romantically linked to Cudi, and Clark claimed Diddy was enraged. The nature of the trip, she suggested, wasn't a coincidence. It had a threatening undertone, she said,
and it's not just
one
because
that felt
of the
more like
charges
a
he's
message
facing.
than a visit. But that was far from the end of her testimony. Clark described another unsettling episode, one that felt like something out of a psychological thriller. After a piece of loaned jewelry went missing, she wasn't simply questioned. Instead, she claimed she was placed under surveillance and subjected to multiple lie detector tests over several days. The environment, she said, was far from the glamour typically associated with Diddy. It was a near-abandoned office space where a physically imposing man allegedly warned her that failure to cooperate would lead to serious consequences. No official details about the test results have been released, but her account of being isolated, watched, and intimidated painted a picture of coercion rather than investigation. What sets Clark's testimony apart is its clarity and the fact that it's now part of the legal record. She's not speculating or repeating tabloid rumors. She's speaking under oath. Her statements give credibility to whispers that have long circulated in the shadows of Hollywood and the music industry. Names, dates, and specific incidents are now part of an official proceeding, and with that comes an undeniable shift in tone. As if the day hadn't been intense enough, the prosecution then unveiled a new witness list, and it instantly captured attention. These weren't gossip column regulars or anonymous sources. These were people who lived and worked close to Diddy during crucial moments in his career. Former employees, artists signed to his label, and friends who had been inside his homes. They weren't just bystanders, they were there. Among them was singer Dawn Richard, a member of the girl group Donity Kane, which Diddy famously helped launch. Her testimony delivered a powerful emotional blow. Witnesses described her leaving the courtroom visibly shaken, drained by the weight of what she had shared. According to Richard, she once witnessed Diddy explode in rage over something as seemingly trivial as a late dinner. But what happened next, she said, crossed far beyond frustration. She alleged that Diddy became physically aggressive with Cassie during the outburst, grabbing a skillet full of food in a threatening manner. When Cassie fell to the floor, Richard claimed Diddy dragged her across the room as chaos unfolded around them. If true, this wasn't an isolated incident. It was a disturbing glimpse into a volatile environment powered by control and fear. Richard admitted she didn't intervene. She didn't call the police. The following day, she said, Diddy made it clear the incident wasn't to be mentioned again. That moment, she testified, crystallized the unspoken culture surrounding him. A rule of silence, a system held together by fear and unchallenged power. This trial, then, is no longer just about Sean Combs. It's not just about Cassie Ventura or Capricorn Clark. It's about what happens when fame, influence, and intimidation collide, and the systems that allow it all to flourish unchecked. The allegations have moved beyond personal grievances and into a realm of possible systemic abuse. Protection through loyalty, silence through fear, and complicity at the highest levels of celebrity culture. With every witness that takes a stand, the carefully maintained image surrounding one of the music industry's most powerful figures continues to crack. And with those cracks, uncomfortable truths are beginning to seep out. Truths that, for years, may have been hidden behind glamour, money, and power. Now, under the weight of sworn testimony and courtroom evidence, those truths are being forced into the light.
And then I saw sexual acts that I walked in on.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin. Hollywood is the hurry up and weight game. So I'm running all over the studio. He's not in his dressing room. I go to the cafeteria. I'm like, well, but I see his car there. So I open the door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having anal sex with Will. There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing.
Dawn Richard's time on the witness stand was brief, but it left an indelible mark on the courtroom. A former member of Donity Kane, and once part of Sean Diddy, Combs' close-knit inner circle, she delivered a chilling account of a moment that allegedly unfolded inside Diddy's Los Angeles home in 2009. According to Richard, what began as a minor frustration quickly spiraled into something terrifying. Diddy, she testified, flew into a rage over dinner not being ready on time. But this wasn't just a temper tantrum. Richard claimed he stormed into the kitchen, grabbed a skillet filled with hot food, and made a threatening move toward Cassie Ventura, his then-girlfriend. The room reportedly froze. Cassie collapsed in fear, but the fury didn't stop there. Diddy, according to Richard, became even more aggressive, dragging Cassie out of the room as chaos unfolded around them. For Dawn, the incident wasn't just shocking, it was paralyzing. She told the court she felt frozen, terrified not only for Cassie but for her own safety. What happened the next day was just as disturbing. Richard testified that Diddy made it clear to everyone present. They were not to speak of what had occurred. The message, she said, was unmistakable. Silence wasn't a choice, it was an order. This wasn't a story about celebrity drama. It was, in her words, a display of control and fear, an unspoken rule enforced behind the closed doors of wealth and fame. Then, the government shifted gears. In a move that stunned the courtroom and silenced any notion that this was merely entertainment gossip, a Homeland Security agent took the stand. This had become a federal matter. The agent meticulously described the morning of Diddy's arrest at the Park Hyatt Hotel, a luxury suite that, once opened by investigators, became the setting for something far more sobering. Though cameras were not allowed inside, the agent's description of what was found painted a stark contrast to the glamorous exterior of Diddy's lifestyle. Photographs were taken, and every item in the suite was cataloged. While many possessions were typical of a high-profile entertainer, some reportedly raised serious questions. These were not just luxury travel items. According to the agent's testimony, certain belongings suggested that the suite may have doubled as a private space for activities far removed from typical hotel living. As the inventory of items was read aloud, the courtroom grew tense. This wasn't just about opulence anymore. It was about what may have been concealed within that opulence. Then came an unexpected emotional twist. Diddy's daughters, who had quietly sat in the courtroom, suddenly stood and walked out. No statement, no theatrics, just a quiet, visibly shaken exit. Witnesses described their faces as pale, and their departure came moments after the most intense courtroom audio was played. Though the public has yet to hear any of it, those present say the content was deeply disturbing. Many now believe their reaction was tied directly to what was heard. What followed sent shockwaves not only through the courtroom, but across the internet. A name was spoken, **Will Smith **. This wasn't hearsay or online rumor. His name came up during official proceedings, and the moment it did, the public reaction was immediate. Fans scrambled to rewatch interviews, analyze old red carpet moments, and dig through photos of Smith and Diddy at past events. What once seemed like harmless celebrity mingling was now under a microscope. As online speculation exploded, singer and outspoken industry critic Jaguar Wright resurfaced with renewed intensity. She pointed to a long-standing pattern of questionable relationships and protective silence surrounding Smith. Wright named individuals such as Brisha Gray, August Alsina, and even Will's own son as being part of a world that, in her view, has long gone unchallenged. She didn't mince words. Her tone suggested deep frustration with what she sees as a pattern of shielding powerful men from scrutiny. Then came another blow. A former assistant of Will Smith went public with a jaw-dropping claim that he had once walked in on Smith and actor Dwayne Martin in what he described as a compromising situation. The internet erupted, but the assistant didn't stop there. He alleged that while Smith remained silent, Jada Pinkett Smith tried to spin public narratives, painting Will as dishonest and detached. Despite the magnitude of the allegation, no lawsuit was ever filed. The assistant used that detail as a point of confidence, daring Jada to sue if he was lying. And in a dramatic move, he promised that if legal action didn't come soon, he would begin releasing detailed personal accounts and stories involving Jada. Stories that allegedly involved private retreats and intimate gatherings. Meanwhile, comedian Lunel added her voice to the mounting wave of speculation, making cryptic comments about the true nature of Will and Dwayne's relationship. The online buzz was no longer just chatter. It was becoming a sustained chorus of suspicion and re-examination. Will's team responded swiftly with a firm public denial, but the internet was already in full investigation mode. Clips of Diddy and Smith at various events resurfaced. What was once background noise had now become center stage. Then, in another jarring development, Meek Mill's name entered the courtroom record. Unlike Smith, Meek didn't wait for speculation to mount. He took to Twitter almost immediately, posting a flurry of defensive messages. But instead of extinguishing the fire, he fanned it. Past clips were unearthed, including one where Diddy threw Meek a birthday party and, in front of cameras, called him daddy. Once brushed off as eccentric behavior, the footage now took on a new tone. Old tweets, inside jokes, and rumored internet activity around Meek started trending. His attempt to damage control did little to shift public sentiment. The perception wasn't just that Meek had been named. It was that he was now part of a much larger story, one that was spiraling out of control. At the center of it all remains the courtroom audio. No leaks, no clips, only whispered accounts from those who have heard it. Some say the content is disturbing. Others suggest it's potentially career-ending. What's most chilling is a claim that the audio might capture instances of real emotional or physical harm, with someone audibly laughing in the background. These details have not been confirmed, but the mere possibility has fueled rampant speculation. Why hasn't the audio been released? Some believe it's to protect the privacy of those involved. Others argue the consequences of releasing it would be catastrophic, not just for Diddy, but for Hollywood at large. As names continue to surface, one stands out repeatedly: T.D. Jakes, the renowned spiritual leader. There is no direct accusation against him, but speculation about his relationship with Diddy continues to swirl. For some, the concern is not about wrongdoing, but about the power dynamics at play, about who is helping protect whom and why. Back on the witness stand, Capricorn Clark returned with more haunting testimony. She described being taken to a near-abandoned building,
and it's not
where
just
she was
because of the
isolated
charges
and
he's
questioned for
facing.
hours. It wasn't just the questions that unsettled her. It was the entire environment, which she said felt designed to break her down emotionally and mentally. According to Clark, when she tried to move on from working with Diddy, she found herself effectively blacklisted. Jobs disappeared, calls stopped. She claimed it wasn't a coincidence. She believed Diddy had actively blocked her opportunities, making it nearly impossible for her to rebuild her career unless she returned to his camp. Out of necessity, not loyalty. Inside the courtroom, Diddy remained alert throughout her testimony, whispering frequently to his attorneys. His legal team objected repeatedly, pushing back against Clark's most damning statements. It was clear that her account was not being taken lightly. The defense was poised, tactical, and ready to challenge every word. Legal analyst Brian Buckmere offered his take on the proceedings, noting that while many voices had added texture and context to the case, Cassie Ventura remains the prosecution's most pivotal witness. According to the government, Cassie's testimony is the foundation of the entire trial. Her account, outlining a detailed pattern of manipulation, emotional coercion, and secretive gatherings involving Diddy and others, is central to the charges. Everything else, no matter how sensational, builds around that core narrative. And with each passing day in court, the walls surrounding one of the most powerful figures in the music industry seem to be closing in. What was once whispered in blog posts and hinted at in gossip columns is now being spoken under oath, backed by sworn testimony, federal agents, and court documents. Whether this trial leads to convictions or not, it has already changed conversation, pulling back the curtain on a side of fame and power that many suspected existed, but few ever dared to confront.
Diddy's assistant now giving us details about what he says were called Wild King Nights. This morning, new details allegedly inside Diddy's world before his shocking arrest. The entertainment mogul now behind bars for federal sex trafficking and racketeering charges.
It was a circus. He did whatever he wanted, and we were just at his disposal.
Phil Pines was Diddy's senior executive assistant from 2019 to 2021. He says his then boss asked him to purchase supplies for parties dubbed Wild King Nights.
We usually had a laundry list of items that included lights, alcohol, marijuana, ketamine, malt. Those requests started to become more frequent.
Pines claims many of these parties involved younger women.
A lot of times you have him with a younger female, and there's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand.
As the saga continues to unfold, the internet's obsession is only intensifying. Social media users have become amateur investigators. Reddit threads are exploding. TikTok sleuths are piecing together timelines, and online speculation is moving faster than traditional journalism. Meanwhile, most of the celebrities implicated remain silent. But as history shows, silence doesn't stop the truth. Some speculate that Diddy is working behind the scenes, scrubbing evidence, managing narratives, or attempting to influence potential witnesses. Others believe this trial is just the tip of the iceberg, a gateway to even more revelations that could unravel some of Hollywood's most tightly held secrets. At the center of it all are the mysterious audio recordings, still unheard by the public. If they're ever released, this case could transcend celebrity scandal and become a defining moment in entertainment history, with far-reaching consequences for those involved and the industry itself. Stay tuned. What comes next to change everything?